Raven Studio.
I'm recording this because I don't think I'm making it out of these woods. If someone finds this phone, don't go looking for the church. I'm currently wedged under a rotted-out oak tree, about 3 miles off the main trail, in the North Carolina stretch of the Appalachians. My ankle is the size of a grapefruit, and I can hear them. I can hear the wood creak of those masks. They know I'm here. They're just playing with their food now. I'm such an idiot. I grew up in a suburb outside of Charlotte. I've done the tourist hikes a million times. I thought I knew these mountains. I had my pack, a pair of new boots, and enough soda and beef jerky to last me a weekend. I was about 6 miles in when I saw a trail that looked like a shortcut back to the Sheetz gas station where I'd parked my truck. It wasn't on the map, but it looked well-trodden. I figured some locals knew something the Forest Service didn't. About 20 minutes down that shortcut, the forest just changed. The air got thick, like I was breathing in a wet basement. I tried to check my GPS, but the blue dot was just spinning. The woods here, they don't look like the postcards. Everything is covered in this gray, hairy lichen that looks like old man's beard. It hangs off the branches and brushes against your face like cold fingers. Every time I stopped to catch my breath, the forest didn't go quiet. It felt like it was waiting. I found a sneaker half buried in the mud, a kid's Nike, and for a second, I almost turned back. But the shortcut looked so much faster. I can still see that sneaker in my head. It was clean, like someone had just stepped out of it and vanished. I passed a trail marker, just a slab of carved oak nailed to a tree. No numbers, no arrows, just a jagged vertical slit cut down the center like a mouth. I told myself it was some weird prank, and I kept moving. I saw something move in the brush, something tall and gray, and it spooked me so bad I bolted. I didn't look where I was going. My foot hit a mossy root. I heard a pop in my ankle, and I went down hard. When I stopped screaming and looked around, the sun was dropping behind the peaks. I was lost. Completely 100% turned around. And my phone? 0 bars. Not even an SOS signal. I dragged myself for an hour, using a sturdy branch as a crutch. I just wanted a flat spot to sit until morning. That's when I saw it through the hemlock trees. A church. It looked ancient. Stacked stone, dark wood, no bell in the steeple. But here's the thing. It wasn't a ruin. Most forgotten stuff in these woods is covered in graffiti and beer cans. This place was spotless. The grass around it looked like someone had trimmed it with a pair of scissors. The windows weren't glass. They were made of some kind of translucent horn or stretched hide. I didn't care about the vibes. I was hurting. I figured if I could get inside, I'd be safe from the coyotes. I limped up the steps and pushed the door. The door didn't just open. It groaned, a heavy wood-on-wood sound that echoed through the trees. I expected to find dust and cobwebs, but it was sterile. No bird nests in the rafters, no squirrel droppings. Just the smell of iron. That sharp, metallic scent you get right before a thunderstorm. Inside, it smelled like copper and old cedar. There were no pews, just a big stone circle in the middle of the floor, and a bunch of carvings on the walls that definitely weren't from the Bible. They looked like people with too many limbs, or maybe things that weren't people at all. I looked closer at the carvings. One of them showed a man being pulled apart by what looked like tree roots. I tried to tell myself it was just some weird local folk art. I pulled out my phone one more time. 0%. I felt a surge of genuine lizard brain panic. I was hours from civilization with a wrecked ankle and a dead phone, in a room that felt like a trap. No dust. Not even in the corners. I sat in the corner, wrapped myself in my thin emergency blanket, and tried to tell myself I was just being paranoid. I had a bottle of water and half a bag of meat sticks. I told myself I'd sleep it off and crawl back to the trail at dawn. I must have drifted off because I woke up to the sound of a low, vibrating hum. It wasn't a machine. It was voices. They weren't chanting. That's the thing that messed me up. Chanting feels human. This was a vibration. It felt like it was coming from the ground itself. Rattling my rib cage, I looked through a crack in the front door. The moon was up now, and the clearing was full of them. Maybe 20 people. They weren't wearing robes like in some cheesy movie. They were wearing regular clothes. Flannels, Carhartt jackets, jeans. But they all had these masks, or what I thought were masks at first. White oak, split and shaped, fused to their faces like dried bark grown over skin. No features, except for 2 tiny eye holes and a jagged vertical slit for a mouth. They weren't talking. They were just humming this one single note. That made my teeth ache. I watched a woman in a flannel shirt step forward. She looked just like the lady who works the register at the Piggly Wiggly. She placed a hand on the boy's forehead. Her mask was stained with something dark. And I realized then, these weren't outsiders. These were the people who live in the towns at the base of the mountain. My neighbors, my doctors, my friends. And they weren't praying to God. In the center of the circle was a kid. He couldn't have been older than 18. He looked terrified. They were holding him down on that stone circle. One of them, a huge dude in a hunting vest, stepped forward. He wasn't holding a knife. He was holding a heavy, rusted iron brand. I felt sick. I tried to shift my weight to get a better look, but my sprained ankle hit the floorboards. The humming stopped instantly. Every single one of those white oak masks turned toward the church door at the exact same time. It was like they were all controlled by one brain. I froze. I didn't even breathe. For a second, I thought I was okay. Then, the big guy in the hunting vest pointed a finger right at the door. He didn't scream. He just made this clicking sound with his tongue. I didn't wait. I scrambled out of a back window, dragging my dead leg behind me, and rolled down a ravine into the dark. I've been hiding under this oak tree for 10 minutes now. I can hear them clicking. They're calling for me. Wait. The clicking is coming from right above me.